We will be getting soon 9 brand new perks in Dead by Daylight, and today I will be ranking all of Wong, Rebecca Chambers and Wesker's perks and giving my thoughts on them. Let's start with the weakest one, Low Profile. I think this is by far the weakest perk in the DLC by far and one of the weakest perks in the game as well. The problem of this perk is that it's an endgame perk for survivors that only works once you practically already lost the game. Why have a perk that only works when you lost, instead of using that slot for another perk that is way more useful? And the effect is nothing great. Honestly, the cooldown is one example of the bad perk design that behavior cannot remove already. The perk tiers. The cooldown is practically useless, as in the endgame there is no way you are going to stay for the full effect to run out. The numbers are only there to give a purpose to the different tiers of the perk. I had really high hopes for this perk being another Bite the Bullet, Lucky Break combo, but it doesn't look like it. In fact, this perk is not even good at what it does, because if you are injured in the endgame, good killers will be able to heal you. I think it's a weak perk, and definitely the weakest of the bunch. Reactive Healing. Reactive Healing is in my opinion an interesting concept, but it doesn't work in Dead by Daylight. This is a selfish perk, and it makes sense, just like one of Yunjin's perks, but I bet you don't even know the name of the Yunjin perk that I'm talking about that hides your scratch marks, injury noises and blood for 10 seconds. Yes, I am talking about Self-Preservation, a perk nobody uses, just like this one. The thing that completely kills this perk for me is that it's not only a 35% flat, it's a 35% of the missing healing progression, which is worse. This means the perk will not even heal you, so if you don't have a medkit or a boon, you're out of luck. Not only that, this perk gets hard countered by Hemorrhage. If you use this perk, the biggest difference will be if the killer hits the rescuer once you're out, and even then it's a worse Reassurance, which at the very least heals 50%. I don't like this perk, but again, I believe it's an interesting concept that it just won't work in this game. Better than new. Cool perk idea, the numbers are extremely low to make a big difference, 6% is not that much. So in the end this perk ends up being a worse leader. I really like when a teammate has leader though, because it makes healing others very fast or hooking them as well, even opening doors. This perk requires the user to heal someone, and only that survivor gets benefit. Leader is just way better. According to the maths, this perk only saves 2 seconds of the generator if it's used, continuing the time wasted to heal the survivor. That's very little to have any impact compared to Prove Thyself or a toolbox. And to be fair, healing another survivor only for that survivor to start opening a chest or cleansing a totem 6% faster is an absolute waste of a perk slot. Hyperfocus. Really cool perk name and concept, but I don't think it's going to make a big difference overall. Remember that in this game, we already have Stakeout and Fast Track, which are perks with a similar purpose. It's a generous perk, and any perk that affects repairing speed is already nice, but considering that Prove Thyself just boosts the speed without having to hit any skill checks, I don't think this perk will be used too much in the meta. However, this is by far one of the most unique and interesting perk ideas I have seen in Dead by Daylight, and I really wanted a perk like this since they introduced Feng Min. This is a high skill, medium reward perk that stops working once you leave the generator or stop the heal. Also, it doesn't combine with Autodidact. I don't think this perk will help a lot in healing, but it will definitely be annoying if a survivor is very good at hitting skill checks and gen rushing. And honestly, with time, it might have a lot of use, but definitely when this perk comes out, a lot of people are going to be missing skill checks trying to hit the great spot. Superior Anatomy. Starting off with the first Wesker perk and his weakest one, we have Superior Anatomy. I fully believe this is a coup de grace type of perk that is going to be very funny to use in a chase or with a Volt speed focused build. Definitely a fun perk, and that's it. I don't have much comments to make about this perk other than it will be very fun with Michael Myers or Wraith with the Volt add-ons. Also combined with Bamboozle, it's cool. I am curious if it works with Legion's Volt as well. One thing I will give to behavior is the fact that this perk has no cooldown on use, and instead you can save it for another chase to surprise another survivor. I definitely might be wrong and this perk could be actually better than what I ranked, but we'll have to see it in game. Wiretap. Wiretap could be potentially one extremely busted perk in Dead by Daylight, and at the same time, it could be a very useless one. Wiretap is a perk like Blast Mine and Flashbang, where you interact with a gen and get a benefit. This time it's a trap that will reveal the aura of the killers around 14 meters of the generator. Now, depending on how this works, this could be a very strong perk if it combines well with Open-Handed and Repressed Alliance. By itself, a lot of killers, especially now, started to kick generators to activate Call of Brine or Overcharge, but if you block the generator and it still works, and it also gets a boost with Open-Handed, this could create a wall hack perk that reveals the aura of the killer in a 30-meter radius from it. Remember that the boon aura is only 24 meters and that's already big. Now 30 meters is 6 meters more, and the aura reading is one of the strongest benefits you can have as a survivor. Basically, wall hacks at the cost of 3 perks. The reason this perk is not higher is because I feel this is not going to be a meta perk and only a novelty. There are stronger perks like Shadow Step that are less situational than Wiretap, and yet almost nobody runs them. As such, this perk sounds strong in paper, but I think in practice, unless it's a very specific spot where the generator is hard to find like Midwich or any 2-story map, this perk is not going to be as good. Awakened Awareness. I really dislike this perk right now because it's a boost to nurses that use the Starstork build. I find this perk way too powerful when combined with her. Aside from that, I think this perk will get some use by a lot of killers, especially with Lethal Pursuer, and if one condition happens, because by reading the perk I am unsure. Does the aura reading stay until you hook someone, and after that the 2-second cooldown starts? If the answer to this question is yes, you're looking at one of the most overpowered perks in the game if combined with Lethal Pursuer and Barbecue and Chili, as survivors have a 20-meter safe zone as a maximum. It will also counter all of those survivors that wait for the rescue as well. Definitely a good perk, but I don't think it's overpowered. Terminus. I really like this perk and I think it might have some use with No Way Out, Remember Me builds, as it makes the endgame an absolute nightmare. Any survivor that is hooked in the endgame is basically confirmed dead, as survivors cannot body block or trade hooks. Instead, they are forced to exit. Not only that, this is the first perk that focuses on survivors to open the gates instead of waiting 99% until everyone is safe. Technically, it's like a band-aid. Also, it counters adrenaline. I definitely see this perk having some use. I will be definitely using it in combination with No Way Out, but I might be biased as No Way Out is one of my favorite perks in the game already. And finally, a perk that I am sure will get a lot of use. Reassurance. This perk is a lifesaver in so many situations that I cannot count them all. Kinship is a perk that had a very similar effect in the game already, and that perk was used in competitive Dead by Daylight because it helps survivors be safer and have more time to either finish doing gens or go save the hook survivor. Killers, on the other hand, are forced to stay or proxy camp to prevent the survivors from rescuing. If this is the case, Reassurance is a kinship on demand for any other survivors. You're basically giving extra free time when you come close to the hook survivor, which might save you from a camping killer. I would like to know how the cooldown works, because if it does the way I think it does, survivors can hold the game hostage if all of them have this perk and kinship. It's definitely a perk that I see Survive with Friends group run at least once. I am so excited for Wesker and all of the new survivors, and especially the new RPD rework. All of these perks sound fun, but I definitely feel like Ada got the short stick from them. In any case, I would love to hear your opinions on the perks, and if you think I made a mistake or you disagree in the placement of one of them, please let me know. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.